Hello viewers, this is Revealing Light Tarot. Today I wanted to read on Trump's hate speech in light of the events, the tragedies that have been unfolding in recent days and recent weeks. We're seeing this, internal terrorism, these alt-right, far-right people coming forward, taking Trump's hate speech to heart. He's egging them on, and it doesn't matter how much he denies it, how much he tries to blame the media. This is all heightened, encouraged, accelerated as a result of Trump's hate speech. So I wanted to look at that a little bit in depth this morning and ask a few questions. And the questions that I've got are, is Trump's hate speech increasing the threats and the acts of violence in the USA? Does he care? We've looked at, does he take responsibility? And we can't, I'd refer you back to that reading. In other words, he doesn't take responsibility, but does he care? Is it on any level, does he care? Because his daughter and his son-in-law are both Jewish. And regarding this hate speech, why haven't the Republicans come forward and spoken out against it? Why hasn't law enforcement, the DOJ, come forward and really, in some way, or have they met with him behind closed doors and are they concerned about this increase in this acceleration of threats of violence and indeed acts of violence as a direct result of Trump's hate speech? So that's what the reading is going to be about. Let's start with Trump's hate speech. Does it increase the threats and the acts of violence in the USA? Is it encouraging and is it directly responsible for increasing the threats and the acts of violence? Because he is saying that it's the media, but of course that's just a defence. Okay, or has the media in covering Trump's hate speech, do they have a role to play as well? But, at the end of the day, it's his hate speech. Has his hate speech directly led to an increase in violence and acts of domestic terrorism? Okay. All right, so what we're getting is the Queen of Wands, and that is, about, inspiration and confidence. So this is what it's telling me. It's telling me that that his hate speech is actually giving people confidence. And here's the thing, it's giving them the confidence to do something they may have thought twice about before. Okay, we see the clips every day, including the racism. People are emboldened and they're coming forward. Okay, so it's increasing their confidence. This is the card of self-assurance as well. So they're feeling freer and more able to come forward. There's nothing stopping them now, okay? So before, in a previous environment, they would have held back. They would have been worried about consequences. The fact that this is the President of the United States that is saying these things, then it must be okay for them to act, okay? So it's emboldened, it's given them confidence, it's given them self-assurance to go forward. And the Hierophant, okay, here we have the president here, the president of the United States, the ultimate, leader of the country, representing, the office of the president and the government. And this is again what is encouraging them. But at the same time, it's also what will bring them undone. Okay, so the Hierophant can also represent the courts and the law, the systems of law. Okay, so there is a balance against this emboldened behaviour and these threats and these actual acts of violence. We still have, on the one hand, we've got the president. It must be okay because the president is saying it, so we can say it too. It must be okay if the president is, making those threats. we'll make them too. But on the other hand, there is also the courts and the legal system there as well. So that's, you're getting they're being quickly identified and brought to justice. In the case of hate speech and racism, we've got social media, and then these people are being prosecuted. So there is still that balance. Okay, and it's a covenant. Okay, and again, coming back, his hate speech is a covenant. This card has come up in relation to Trump's hate speech in the past. It's all about this relationships, and it's indicating that there's a proposal. Now, here's the crux of the matter. When President Trump is delivering his hate speech, the people that are hearing his words and are likely to act in violent ways or threaten violence, they hear what he is saying as a proposal to act. Okay, that is the important thing. And look, you can probably Google, what the psychologists and the psychiatrists are actually, how they're interpreting the messages that Trump is sending, because these are indeed messages. They're being picked up by the people that are on the fringes that are thinking in violent ways anyway, and they are being interpreted, as a message to act. This is a proposal. And again, this is a relationship. This is what happens between, and I've read on this before, the cult of Trump. This is what happens when people are hearing these messages. And again, we've got this relationship, these circles coming forward. This is what these rallies are all about. This is the circle of support that are at these rallies. Trump might duck for cover, but in actuality, you can track it back to what he's saying, and also the coverage. Okay, because the coverage just it gives it a megaphone as well. Okay, things will be happening fairly quickly, right? And I'm interpreting this as he may be no longer, after the midterms, able to do as much division as what he did before. This hate speech is in its, it's not. I guess quick action is coming. In the form of the midterms to stop this. And look, it's really going to, this card, when I look at it, it is heartbreak, divorce and loss. Now, I'm taking this as, this is really what is going to come for Donald Trump. It's sort of like a karma card. Okay, that's how I'm reading it. I'm reading it that because this quick action is coming in the form of the midterms, and because we have the Hierophant there crossing Trump's hate speech, I actually think that there is going to be something, after the midterms come forward. I'm not sure what it is. I think it will be the checks and the balances. But, yeah, look, there's also loss and heartbreak for Donald Trump around his hate speech. Now, I'm not sure what that's referring to. Let's have a look. What can we get some clarity, please, Spirit, on the Three of Swords? Please, what is this referring to? I mean, is his family in any danger? Is this, because this is loss and heartbreak, quite significant for Donald Trump. It could really mean Mueller, could be referring to Mueller, but let's just get some clarity. Will there be loss and heartbreak for Donald Trump in relation to his family members in any way? Okay, the Knight of Wands is, is that soldier. This is the card I often draw for Moolah. Okay, so it seems to be that Donald Trump's karma will come in the form of the Mueller investigation. And let me just ask, because that may stop him. That may stop him in his tracks. So it will be a combination of the midterms and Mueller, because this is really law. This is the law, the free-spirited soldier coming forward in battle. Okay, so there's something going to be stopping Donald Trump's hate speech, and I'm thinking that it is in relation to Mueller. So I'll ask that, is this in relation to the Mueller investigation? Yes, this is imprisonment. Okay, this is the Eight of Swords, okay, and the Eight of Swords is self-imposed restrictions and isolation, and of course the card of imprisonment. Okay, so what's going to stop this? Okay, we haven't got long to the midterms. People are already voting. It's coming up on us very quickly. The law is there in relation to balance out this hate speech. We know what's driving it. It seems like something will be happening fairly quickly after the midterms. It will be loss for Donald Trump, and this is the card of imprisonment. So, and self-imposed restriction. You know, if we look at it in relation to the hate speech, it's almost like Donald Trump's confidence is going to take a dive after the midterms, and the Mueller probe will start to move forward again. As I did a reading on Manafort the other week, had met with the Mueller probe. I think it was every couple of days for over a period of months. Okay, so there is stuff happening there. The investigation is still going forward, but there are those protocols around no further indictments before the midterm. So there's been a deal struck somewhere along the line that things would go quiet in relation to the probe. So I think we've answered, does he care? I think it's quite clear he doesn't care. Well, actually, I'm not sure. Let's ask about because his daughter and his son-in-law are Jewish. Okay, so does he care on any level that his hate speech is, we now know that this whole conspiracy theory around the Democratic donor Soros apparently giving money to people in the caravan, directly had a bearing on why the gunman actually did what he did at that synagogue. Does he care in any way that these fringe dwellers, these outliers, are being encouraged? Does he care even on any level that his hate speech is responsible for encouraging these outliers to violence? Okay, so self-imposed restriction would indicate that on some level may have to do with his family. There is something going on with him. Okay, endings are crossing this. So here we've got the imprisonment card, which came up in our other reading, and we've got it crossed by endings. So he does care at some level. It's most likely to do because of the connection that he has with the Jewish faith through his daughter and his son-in-law. But he's also, there's something deeper happening here too. He is also concerned about what happens when justice catches up with him. And it is. The death card, which is endings, is catching up with him. It's interesting. Let's just see what else comes out. This is the card of joyous outcomes and success. I asked if he cared on any level at all. There is a degree. Okay, so this is. I think this is I think the card of that's relating to his family. So it could be that he's actually worried a little bit about his family, and this came up in the last reading that I've just done. I came forward with an energy that that indicated that he may be concerned at some level by possible repercussions on his family. Necessary transitions. Okay, what the energy from the last reading is coming forward. Necessary transitions. Does he care at all on any level? In the past, necessary transitions. That could also be referring, because this is the card in the past, could also be referring to, that in order to be successful, he has to whip this hate speech up. Yeah. Okay, and the Ten of Pentacles again. This family card. Okay, so this is success. Does he care on any level? It's almost he's got to do what he's got to do to make sure his family business is successful. Okay, the Emperor, and this is traditions and again judgments, and this is in the future. This reading's telling me that there's some family aspect here that he is worried about, whether it be repercussions, but it's also to do with the family business. So how this may impact on his family business is what he cares about. But indeed, it is going to have an impact, because we've got this, and this is also isolation as well, and then endings. Okay, so that's what he cares about. But there is a family aspect to it as well, because I'm pulling the Ten of Pentacles, and the Six of Swords, of course, is a necessary transition. Again, the energy from the previous readings coming forward in this reading, that some things are going to happen quite quickly after the midterms to really pull him up and stop him in his tracks. I want to know now why the Republicans have not stepped up. We've had your former President Carter come forward in Georgia and call for Brian Kemp to step down through voter suppression, because of voter suppression. There are still, Ronald Reagan's daughter has come out and in an op-ed and slammed Donald Trump, comparing him to past presidents. There are Republicans. We had the late John McCain come forward to try and protect the US values and really the values that underpin the US society. So we've had some isolated examples. Of course, we've also had some Republicans. It's hard to know how politically motivated this is being come forward and against the Saudis over the Khashoggi murder. But we haven't had condemnation of his hate speech. They've only followed his line and blamed the media. So why haven't Republicans come forward when it is so obvious that Donald Trump's hate speech is causing domestic terrorism? Why haven't Republicans come forward? They will, in history, like in time, they'll come forward, but that's a little bit too late. Okay, they don't want to be left out in the cold. Now we're getting to the heart of the matter here. Donald Trump's base is a Republican base, and they are frightened that if they come forward, of course, they will lose their power. They will be left out in the cold. This chariot is crossing them, okay? This chariot came through in the last reading. This is why I love to read like this, because the same energies, they're like threads that run through this, and we really get a good picture of what might be, what is occurring and what could be occurring. What is crossing them is quick action, okay? And this is the midterms, which will bring everything to a bit of a halt, okay? The Ten of Pentacles, this building up of the family wealth. Again, this is why they don't come forward. It's to do with money and assets. The card of imprisonment, again, and isolation. This, they don't want to be isolated. They don't want to be, have their voters, their base turn against them. Here's the King of Cups in the future. Things are going to change. This is the benign parent. This is tolerance. This is empathy. This is understanding. This is everything that Donald Trump is not. So that is what is going to come forward. Okay, and the Knight of Pentacles, new proposals, new relationships, new emotions. Things are going to change, and they're going to change quite rapidly. So for the Republicans, they're not coming forward because they don't want to jeopardise their own base. They don't want to be left out in the cold. It is to do around this assets and building of wealth and power. They don't want to lose that. They don't want to be restricted or isolated in any way, which is what they've seen happen to people like Flake, to a certain extent to McCain, to Bob Corker. They don't want to see that happen to them. But change is coming quite quickly. There will be new relationships being forged following the midterms, and new proposals put forward, new healthier relationships coming forward. So that's kind of the reading there. An interesting reading, an interesting lot of cards. I love this, absolutely love this, because this Chariot is representing the midterms. I thought that the Republicans fearing being left out in the cold was quite apt as well. And of course, this card has come up throughout our readings this morning, the card of isolation, self-imposed restriction, and in the reading before, imprisonment in relation to Donald Trump. When I think about the way that came up, yeah. Okay, look, let's leave it there. That's the reading on, on Trump's hate speech. Does he care, and why don't the Republicans step up and come out when they know that there's this link to domestic terrorism? So there's the guidance in our cards today, viewers. I hope you enjoyed that reading. I'm Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot.